What's up, YouTubers? This is your boy Big Metroid Fan 12 coming to you with another video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the Super Nintendo games and stuff. Now, it's no exaggeration to say that Super Nintendo has a pretty good list of classic games. You know what I'm saying? Both first party and third party games. You have games like pretty much the Donkey Kong Country trilogy. You have Final Fantasy 3, which is technically Final Fantasy 6. You got Chrono Trigger, Batman Returns, like a whole slew of games. You know what I'm saying? That was released on the Super Nintendo, whether they were exclusive or multi-platform games and stuff like that. Now, even though I didn't play like some of the games that mentioned like Final Fantasy 3, which is of course Final Fantasy 6, the Donkey Kong Country series, Chrono Trigger, and stuff like that. But there were essentially five specific games that I've owned that I've pretty much enjoyed playing when I had a Super Nintendo, pretty much back in the late '90s and stuff. Now the games that I enjoyed playing pretty much are Super Metroid, the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, um, Super Mario World, Castlevania 4, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. You know, now the reason that I like Super Metroid, for instance, is because it is one of the best Metroid games ever made, and pretty much one of the best Super Nintendo games ever made, and everything. Now, pretty much when you like look at Super Metroid, especially when you compare it to Metroid on the NES and Metroid 2: The Return of Samus for the Game Boy, it essentially addresses all of the flaws of those first two games and pretty much enhanced a lot of the things that were that people liked about the first two games, you know what I'm saying? Whether they talk about graphics, gameplay, whatever the case may be, music and all of that. And pretty much now, of course, if you played Super Metroid, you know that the game starts off with a cutscene where Samus recaps what happened in the first two Metroid games and everything, which include um, Samus taking out Crad, Ridley, and Mother Brain in Metroid, and rescuing the not necessarily rescuing Baby Metroid, but taking out the Queen Metroid in Metroid 2. And of course, another aspect of it was including the baby Metroid hatching, thinking that Samus was his mother and everything. And another part of the intro, she she mentioned she took it to the Galactic Federation scientists that was at the space station Carini or something. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, but she took it to them, and they found out a lot of interesting findings concerning the baby Metroid and stuff. So she ended up like leaving looking for some new bounty when she got like some distress signal where the space station was attacked. So she had to return. That's where she found Ridley, and Ridley pretty much kidnapped the baby Metroid. Of course, she follows Ridley to Samus and stuff like that. And pretty much the opening cutscene of Super Metroid pretty much has the best music for any Super Nintendo game, you know what I'm saying? And pretty much when you talk about the soundtrack, it is one of the best Super Nintendo games when you look at when you compare it to other Super Nintendo games like Super Mario World, Legend of Zelda, Chrono Trigger. It's definitely up there, you know. And especially when you talk about section of sections like Upper Bryan Star and Lower North and stuff like that. And one thing that that I like about the controls and gameplay is like before you pretty much start the game from the beginning, you're allowed to tweak the um the button configuration pretty much any way you want and everything. It's something that wasn't seen in any other Super Nintendo game and everything. And I like that that when you get pretty much an item, whether it's like a super missile, various soups, or whatever, you pretty much go further in your exploration of Zebus and everything. And pretty much Super Metroid, as far as the graphics and design, it has aged well and everything. You know what I'm saying? That it has aged well, pretty much like how Metroid Prime has aged well. You know what I'm saying? Even though Metroid Prime isn't as old as Super Metroid and stuff. Now with Legend of Zelda, I'll be honest enough to admit I'm not a Zelda fan, but you know what I'm saying. But I'm glad that I ended up buying Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past and everything. Pretty much, the soundtrack to Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past is pretty excellent, but I particularly like the music to Dark World and stuff due to the fact that it has that uh, dark, kind of dark military theme to it and everything. And pretty much, not only is the soundtrack good, everything else about it is good also. And also like the different items that you can use, pretty much like bombs, bow and arrows, the hook shot, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And I also like the fact that some of these items do you can upgrade them, like the bow and arrow, like pretty much the master sword itself. I think you could based off memory, you could upgrade that like twice. You know what I'm saying? And things like that. And pretty much you can throw them like in a specific pool and then give you the item back stronger than ever. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much the graphics and design is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? I would say as far as the graphics and stuff is pretty much top 10 best Super Nintendo games in terms of graphics for sure. You know what I'm saying? Now with Super Mario World, which is which is one of the launch titles for the Super Nintendo. It's pretty much one of the I would say top 10 Mario games of all time when you're talking about platformers and stuff like that. Now I pretty much like the gameplay. This is to me that's pretty much the best aspect of Super Mario World. They to me they took the gameplay of Super Mario 3 for the NES and made some improvements on it. Like with the cape that you use in Super Mario World, you can fly longer with the cape than you can with the with the raccoon tail in Super Mario 3. You know what I'm saying? You can do some gliding and all that. You know, and the addition of Yoshi was a good addition and everything. You know, mainly if you like have him grab some turtle shells and keep it in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it is that you can only keep it for a certain amount of time, like a minute or so. But in any event, you could use the Koopa shells as projectiles, and the type of projectile is really dependent on the color of the Koopa shell and everything. For example, the red Koopa shell, of course, can be used as three fireballs when you spit it out and everything. And you, if it happen to hit like a specific enemy, it doesn't matter. It turns that enemy into a coin and stuff. And pretty much as far as the map is concerned, it took inspiration from the map from Super Mario 3. But one of the main differences is that once you complete a specific level, you can pretty much return to that level. You know what I'm saying? and certain stages has two ending paths. You know what I'm saying? Of course, with the second path, you gonna pretty much need a key to get to that second path and everything. You'll see, of course, you'll see like a keyhole next to it. But your best bet is to have Yoshi, mainly because once he don't necessarily swallow the key, but he'll have it in his mouth. It'll make it easier to get to the keyhole, in my honest opinion. And the soundtrack is pretty good, and it pretty much matches the tone of the game along with the graphics and stuff. Now, with Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo, it was practically the best Castlevania game up until the release of Castlevania Symphony of the Night and stuff. Now, with Castlevania 4, one thing I do like about it, it's not as hard as Castlevania and Castlevania 3 on the NES, you know what I'm saying? Now, and a lot of people was particularly frustrated with Castlevania 3 because of all of the hazards and falling floors, breakable. Don't want to say breakable floors, but some of the floors did crumble on you and made a lot of people like really frustrated and everything. Now they just took, to me, Konami took all of the um, hardness, pretty much the difficulty, and toned it down, especially compared to Castlevania 1 and 3. You know what I'm saying? And to me, the gameplay has aged well because of the fact that you can use one button to use the secondary items instead of you using up and B like you would in the Castlevania trilogy on the NES and everything. Plus, you can use the grip, not grip, but whip as a grapple when you find a certain thing in the background. You grab it. It allows you to swing towards a platform that is too far to jump and stuff like that. And the soundtrack is is pretty awesome. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty excellent. And when you fight Dracula, they will play the first. Yeah, when you play the Dracula in Castlevania 4, one piece of music that will play is the first stage music from Castlevania. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much the first one, and that's pretty much a callback to the first Castlevania game. And pretty much and the stage design pretty much maintained the dark tone that the Castlevania franchise is pretty much known for. You know what I'm saying? And the creatures designed in the game are pretty good too. You know what I'm saying? All hideous looking and all that and everything. So if you haven't played Castlevania 4, I highly recommend playing that game if you have a Super Nintendo or the Super Nintendo Mini and stuff. Now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 is practically the best beat 'em up games that was ever released on the Super Nintendo. And one thing interesting about this particular game is that it is, of course, is a port of the game Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, um, Turtles in Time, which was pretty much an arcade game. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there was a pretty much Sega Genesis equivalent called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Hyperstone Heist and everything. Because the one thing about that particular version is pretty much faith, a more faithful home port of the arcade game, but the Super Nintendo version pretty much kept the rights to the subtitles and stuff like that. One thing I like about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 is that is start off with the gameplay. It allows you to toss the foot soldiers to the screen, something that is extremely helpful when you're fighting the Shredder in that machine in the Technodrome before he sends you back in time and stuff like that. Now, another thing about it is that each turtle pretty much have their own special moves and stuff. Like Raphael does like a spin kick. Leonardo does like a windmill type of move with his katana blades and stuff like that. Give you an example of what I'm talking about. And pretty much it's pretty like similar to how they had it in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 as a Manhattan Project for the NES. And as far as the soundtrack goes, of course it's excellent, and it's also something that is pretty consistent with the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon show and everything. And pretty much the design of the characters are pretty consistent with that same show. Also, not only the turtles, but you have to include like April O'Neil, Splinter, the fly version of Baxter Stockman, Shredder, Bebop, Rocksteady, and all of them. And pretty much, um, of course, it has all the like every enemy, pretty much the vast majority of enemies that was in the cartoon show, like the Foot Soldiers, like I mentioned, Bebop, Rocksteady, Mousers, they're all in it, and it is pretty great in my honest opinion. You know what I'm saying? So these are my five favorite Super Nintendo games. Now in the comment section, you can sound off and mention the five Super Nintendo games that you like and everything. And with that being said, if you like this video, don't hesitate to click the thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification button. This is your boy Big Metroid Fan 12 signing off.